want to talk a little bit more about emoluments. We spoke about them recently, and it seemed to me that business and payroll is going to have to do a lot more to be able to manage people who have gone into debt and who owe people money and who now have a garnishee against them or an emolument. Do you know the process that's going to have to be followed?
Well, it always was the case that the company had to deduct the money once they received it, and the company is actually called the garnishee, which I hadn't realized in the past. But the interesting thing is that during the process of having an emolument attachment order given against a debtor, that all the facts should come out in that conversation. So what we're talking about is everything should be taken into account. Are there any other emolument attachments against that person? Does it add up? Does it make sense? Was the debt put into place in a good way? So did the debtor understand the situation he was getting into or she was getting into? So all of that should be in place before the emolument attachment order is actually given.
So it makes sense then also for companies to try and keep track of employees who are getting into these kind of difficulties and perhaps assist with recommending some kind of debt consolidation service or something like that?
I think it's a good idea, but it's also interference. So you do have to be a little bit careful not to become too paternalistic as a company. But certainly when you see that somebody is getting into financial difficulties by a number of garnishees against them, it's worth saying, would you like advice? Would you like some assistance in making those decisions? But now, as we've discussed before, if somebody does go over the 25% in terms of the number of deductions, certainly the company is equally responsible in trying to get that amount reduced. And when they go to court to get that to happen, they need to have all the facts in at their fingertips. I think, Kathy, one of the big problems is that when you're standing in court and you've got a magistrate in front of you saying, I'm about to issue a court order, do I have all the papers? And you suddenly think, oh dear, I've got another one of about 500 Rand that I should have mentioned. Sometimes embarrassment keeps people quiet or feeling awkward about announcing this to the whole court. And so what happens is they don't tell the court exactly how much they owe and land up putting it back in the company's area of responsibility.
It does sound complicated. So just to confirm, so the company is then having to deal with the court directly on behalf of the employee in terms of the emolument orders that have been given against this employee?
Should they go over the 25%?
Yes. Okay.
But the employee should be going along with the company. I think one of the issues we're talking about is who bears these costs. And I think that is a major issue. Who covers the leave? Is that normal leave? Is it annual leave? Is it special leave for somebody to go to fight or to object, really, let's not say fight, but to object to the amount they're having to pay back on an emolument attachment order?
Indeed, because usually it would have been just the employee, but now you need also a company representative going potentially with the employee and losing 2 days of work. This is a big deal.
It does take time, and I think the larger businesses definitely are going to see this as more of a problem than maybe a smaller business where statistically it's less likely to happen to numerous employees. But some of the bigger employers, it's definitely going to be quite an issue if they hit the 25% and over.
Well, Terrell, I guess we are going to be talking about this again in the future.
Oh, I think this is going to be an ongoing conversation, Kathy.